Chapter 14. The birth of Taraka and Vajranga and their penance. Narad said, O Brahma, great devotee of Shiva and the disciple of Vishnu, this great story of Shiva and Shiva has been narrated very well by you. Who was this Taraka demon, O Brahma, by whom the gods were harassed? Whose son was he? Narrate his story with reference to Shiva. How did Shiva of full control reduce Kama to ashes? Please narrate that too with pleasure. The story of the Lord is indeed wonderful. How did Shiva perform the severe penance for the sake of happiness? How did the primordial energy, who is the greater than the universe, secure Shiva as her husband? O great scholar, narrate all this complete in every detail to me. Your son, who has dedicated his soul to Shiva and who has developed full faith in him. Brahma said, O celestial sage of great intellect, O foremost of my sons, whose sacred rites are laudable, I explained the entire story after thinking on Shiva. Listen. O Narad, first of all you hear the birth of Taraka himself to secure whose death great effort was made by the gods depending on Shiva. My son Marichi begot Kasyapa, who married 13 daughters of Daksha. The eldest of them, Diti, bore two sons, Hiranyakasipu, the elder, and Hiranyaksha, the younger. When these two began to harass the gods, Vishnu assumed the forms of man, lion, and boar and killed them. Then the gods became fearless and happy. The distressed Diti sought refuge in Kasyapa, and serving him with devotion and observing the sacred rites, she conceived. On coming to know of it, Indra entered her womb forcibly and cut it off many a time with his thunderbolt. By the power of her sacred rites, the child in the womb did not die, as she was sleeping at that time by a stroke of good luck. They are cut into 7 pieces, and she had 7 sons. These sons became gods by the name of Maruts. They all went to heaven along with Indra and were taken as his own attendants by the king of gods. Diti resorted again to her husband, repenting for her action. She made the sage pleased by means of great service. Kasyapa said, Be pure and perform penance for 10,000 years of Brahma. When it is completed, you will have a son. O sage, the penance was completed by Diti, who performed it with faith. Thereafter from him she conceived and delivered of a son. That son of Diti, named Vajranga, of adamantine limbs, was on a par with the gods, befitting his name. His body was strong and powerful even from his very birth. At the bidding of his mother, he immediately abducted Indra, the lord of gods, the other gods, and punished them in various ways. Seeing the distress of Indra and others, Diti became very happy. Indra and other gods became miserable due to their own actions. Always engaged in welfare of the gods, I went there accompanied by Kasyapa. Employing gentle and peaceful words, I got the gods released. Releasing the gods with respect, Vajranga, a great devotee of Shiva, was delighted in his heart, and he of pure soul without any aberration spoke. Vajranga said, In order to achieve his interest, Indra killed the fetus of my mother. He has now tasted the fruit thereof. Well may he rule over his kingdom, O Brahma. I did this only at the bidding of my mother. I have no desire for the enjoyments of any one of the worlds. O Brahma, foremost of those who know the Vedas, tell me the essence of real philosophy, whereby I can ever remain happy, pleased in heart and free from aberrations. On hearing that, O sage, I said, Satvika feelings constitute the essence of real philosophy. I shall lovingly create an exquisite lady. After offering her, who was named Varangi, to that son of Diti, I went to my abode in great delight. So also Kasyapa, his father. Thereafter the demon eschewed his diabolical feelings and resorted to sublime thoughts. Since he was free from fiendish feelings, he became happy. But no sublime feelings entered in the hearts of Varangi. With chastity and faith, she served her husband lovingly in diverse ways. Her husband Vajranga, of great lordly status, was glad very soon on account of her service. He then spoke thus. Vajranga said, O beloved, what do you wish? What is it that you cherish in your mind? On hearing that, she bowed to her husband and revealed her desire. Varangi said, O my good husband, if you are so pleased, grant me a powerful son who will conquer 3 worlds and cause misery to Vishnu. Brahma said, on hearing the words of his beloved, he was disagreeably surprised and vexed. He was free from inimical thoughts. With perfect wisdom and sattvic feelings in his heart, he said, My beloved wishes enmity with the gods. It does not appeal to me. What shall I do? Where shall I go? How can my vow be preserved from destruction? If my wife's wishes are fulfilled, the 3 worlds will be much distressed, so too the gods and the sages. If my beloved desires are not fulfilled, I am sure to be cast into hell. In either case, righteousness will be lost. This is what we have heard. O sage, thus Vajranga rolled a lot in a dilemma. Intelligently he considered the corresponding strength and weakness of both the alternatives. O sage, as willed by Shiva, though intelligent, the king of demons agreed to the proposal. He told his wife, so be it. For that purpose, he performed another very difficult penance with great zeal with me as the object of worship for a number of years. On seeing the great penance, I went to him for granting the boon. With a delighted mind, I told him, Speak out the boon you wish to have. On seeing me in the firmament in the pleasant mood, he worshipped and eulogized me as well as craved for the boon, as desired by his wife. Vajranga said, O Lord, give me a son who will be carrying out what is beneficent to his mother, who will be strong, valorous, and efficient, who will be a storehouse of penance. Brahma said, on hearing his words, O sage, I said, so be it. After granting the boon, I returned to my abode, thinking on Shiva, though a bit distressed. Chapter 15. The Penance and Reign of Tarkasur. Brahma said, Then the Varangi, devoted to him, conceived. The child within her body developed in many years with its brilliance. That Varangi, when the time was completed, delivered of a son of huge body and great strength, dazzling the 10 quarters. At the same time, several phenomena of evil portent, forbidding misery and distress happened when the son of Varangi was born, making the gods miserable. O dear, the phenomenon of 3 varieties indicating great calamity and terrifying the worlds occurred in the sky, heaven and earth. I shall narrate them. With a terrifying noise, thunderbolts fell along with comets. Shooting meteors rose up, making the world miserable. The earth with all the mountains quaked, the quarters blazed, the rivers and oceans were particularly agitated. The rough wind blew with a hissing noise. Gusts of wind with troops of tempests and dust for banner uprooted several trees. O great Brahmin, the misty halos around the sun and the moon in the grip of Rahu became the harbingers of great fear and unhappiness. At that time, terrifying sounds that resembled those of the chariot issued forth from cracks and crevices in the mountains. Within villages, inauspicious vixens howled, hideously vomiting fires, as it were, through their mouths along with the hissing and twanging sounds of the hootings and howlings of owls and jackals. Lifting up their necks, the dogs barked in diverse ways, producing sound of singing or lamenting here and there. Oh dear, groups of mad asses ran here and there, braying loudly and digging the ground with their hoofs. Terrified by the asses, birds flew up from their nests. In their excitement and flutter, they honked and croaked. They did not find a peaceful perch anywhere. Beasts in sheds and forests roamed here and there in great fright, as though beaten and driven about, passing urine and shitting dunks as they pleased. Frightened cows sprayed blood through their udders. Their eyes brimmed with tears. Clouds showering putrid matter became terrifying. Idols and images of deities appeared to cry and fly up. Even when there was no gale, trees fell down, planets in the sky clashed with one another. O excellent sage, these and similar portending phenomena occurred. Ignorant persons thought the submersion of the whole universe was imminent. Then Kashyapa Prajapati thought well and named the powerful demon Tarka. That heroic demon, with his manliness and valor manifesting quickly, grew and developed with his steely frame like the lord of mountains. Then the demon Tarka, of great strength and exploited, endowed with a lofty mind, requested permission of his mother for performing penance. The permission having been secured, that demon, possessing great power of illusion and capable of deluding even experts in the magical art, thought of performing penance in order to conquer all the gods. Strictly adhering to the directions of his elders and preceptors, he went to the forest of Madhu and performed a severe penance duly, having Brahma as his objective. For 100 years he performed penance with his hands lifted up, standing on only one leg and gazing at the sun. With his mind steady and firm, he observed all sacred rites. Then for 100 years, the Lord and King of Asuras, Tarka, performed the penance, stood steady, touching the ground with a single big toe. For 100 years he performed penance by drinking only water, another 100 years by sustaining himself on air alone, another 100 years standing in water, and another 100 years standing on dry land. 100 years he performed the penance amidst fires, 100 years in a topsy-turvy position, and 100 years supported on the ground by the palms of his hands. O sage, 100 years he remained with his head down and feet up, clinging fast to the branch of a tree and inhaling the pure smoke of the sacrificial fire. Thus with ardor the king of the demons performs the severe penance, duly unbearable even to those who heard about it. O sage, in the process of such a penance, a huge mass of light shot up from his head and spread all round. It causes great havoc. All the worlds of the gods were well nigh consumed by it alone. O sage, all the celestial sages were hard hit and distressed. Indra, the lord of gods, was extremely terrified. He thought, someone is performing a penance. Surely he will usurp my position. This mastermind shall in a trice destroy the whole cosmos. All those who entertained similar doubts could not decide what to do. Then all those gods and sages consulted one another, and in their great fright they came to my world and approached me in a piteous plight, bowing to and eulogizing me with palms joined in reverence. All of them explained everything to me, distressed in mind that they were coming to a definite conclusion with adequate thoughts as to the reason for the same. I went where the demon was performing penance in order to grant him the boon. O sage, I told him thus, tell me what boon you want. A severe penance has been performed by you. There is nothing which cannot be granted to you. On hearing these words of mine, Tarka, the great demon, bowed and eulogized me and requested for a terrible boon. Tarka said, O Pitamaha, if you are glad and ready to grant me the boon, what is it that cannot be achieved by me? Hence I request you for this boon. Please listen. O Lord of gods, if you are pleased, and if a boon is to be given to me, be kind enough to grant me two boons. O great Lord, there should certainly be no man equal to me in strength in this entire universe created by you. If a son born of Shiva becomes the commander-in-chief of an army and discharges his weapon against me, let my death occur then. O excellent sage, thus requested by that demon, I granted him two boons and hastened back to my abode. Securing the excellent boon in accordance with his cherished desire, the demon was very glad and went to the town Sonita. That great demon was crowned the king of the three worlds with the permission of Sukra, the preceptor of the demons. Then the great demon became the leader of the three worlds. He inaugurated his commanding position by harassing the mobile and immobile beings. He duly established his suzerainty over the three worlds. He protected his subjects but inflicted pains on the gods and others. Then the demon Tarka seized gems and jewels of all the guardians of the quarters, Indra and others, offered under duress by them on being afraid of him. Afraid of him, Indra surrendered his Airavat, white elephant, and Kubera all his 9 treasures. White horses were surrendered by Varuna, the wheat-yielding cow, Kamdhenu, by the sages, and the sun, out of fear for him, surrendered his divine horse, Uchcheshravas. Wherever a fine article was espied by the demon, he seized it immediately. The three worlds became void of all valuable things. O sage, the ocean, though offered him their gems on account of fear, the entire earth became exuberant in productivity without being tilled and yielded what his subjects desired. The sun glowed gently and mildly as not to make him distressed. The moon was always visible with his brilliant light, and the wind blew always favoring him. Whatever riches the gods possessed or the manes or others had were forfeited by the wicked demon. Bringing the three worlds under his control, he declared Indra himself. He became the undisputed lord and ruled over them with perfect self-control. Dismissing the gods, he installed demons in their places. Some gods he engaged in his personal service. O sage, the gods, harassed by him, led by Indra, sought refuge in me. They are helpless and extremely agitated. Chapter 16. Brahma consoles the gods harassed and frightened by the demon Tarka. Brahma said, "The gods, terribly tormented by Tarka, bowed to and eulogized me, the lord of subjects, with great devotion. On hearing the eulogy of the gods, pleasing and true to the facts, it was highly pleased and replied to the heaven dwellers thus: O gods, welcome to you. I hope you are all fulfilling your duties without obstacles. Why have you all come here? Tell me." On hearing my words, those gods bowed to me duly and spoke. Being tormented by Tarka, they were in a piteous plight. The gods said, "O Lord of the worlds, thanks to the boon received from you, the demon Tarka is very haughty. Driving us out with force, he has taken possession of our positions. Is it not known to you what misery has befallen us? Please dispel our misery quickly. We seek refuge in you. He torments us wherever we happen to stay by day or night. Wherever we flee, we see Tarka. O dear Lord of all, we are extremely harassed and agitated due to Tarka. Agni, Yam, Varun, Nirti, Vayu, and other guardians of the deities are under his control. None of them is ever independent. All serve him in the manner of human beings, accompanied by their followers. Being harassed by him, the gods have become subservient of him. They are engaged in carrying out his wishes. All of us are his servants. Our women folk, the group of heavenly nymphs, have been captured by Tarka the powerful. No sacrifice is in the making. No ascetic is in penances. The charitable and virtuous activities are being seldom pursued in the worlds. His commander-in-chief is a simple demon, Karuncha. He has now gone to the nether worlds and is harassing the people very much. The regions of our three worlds have been forcibly taken, O Brahma, by this Tarka of sinful and ruthless temperament. O Lord of the worlds, we were in heaven, but now that we have been turned out by that demon, we shall go to any place which you may kindly suggest. You are our final resort. You are our ruler, creator and protector. But we are scorched in the fire of the name Tarka. We are extremely agitated. Our ruthless activities against him have turned out to be weak and ineffective. Even as medicinal herbs of great potency are rendered ineffective in an ailment brought about by the combination of all deranged humors. We had some hope of victory in Sudarshana, the discus of Vishnu, but even that discus has become ineffective in his neck, where it has fallen as though it were a floral offering to a deity. Brahma said, O sage, on hearing these words of gods, I told them befitting the occasion. O gods, the demon Tarka has flourished, thanks to my words of blessings. His destruction through me does not seem proper. Improper is the destruction through that source wherefrom he has flourished. Even a poisonous tree tended and nurtured by one cannot be cut and fell down by oneself. Shiva is the most suitable agent to carry out your task, but I myself cannot do anything remedial in this case. Tarka will be destroyed by his own sin. How that shall be done you know from me. I shall advise you. Thanks to the power of the boon granted by me, Tarka cannot be killed by me or by Vishnu or by Shiva or by any one of the gods. It is true. Of course, if there is a son born of Shiva, he alone can kill the demon Tarka. O best of gods, you carry out the remedy I am suggesting. By the grace of Lord Shiva, it can be successfully accomplished. Sati, the daughter of Daksha, formerly cast off her body. She is now born of Menka's womb. That event is already known to you all. O God, it is certain that Lord Shiva will marry her. Still you shall pursue your endeavor. Make such arrangements as to ensure the discharge of semen into Parvati, the daughter of Menka. Shiva is a great yogin who can make semen flow upwards in the body. Only Parvati can make him discharge the semen downwards out of the body. There is no other woman capable of it. That daughter of the Lord of Mountains is now in her prime of youth. She is serving Shiva in his penance on the Himalayas. As a result of the tenacious pleadings of her father, she is serving him in meditation. She is the most beautiful lady in the three worlds. She stands in front of him and worships him. Still Lord Shiva, who is engrossed in his meditation, is not distracted by her presence. It is your duty to ascertain means to make him desire Parvati for his wife. O gods, do something in that direction very quickly. I shall go to the demon's abode and try to dissuade him from his obstinacy. O gods, you can go to your abode. After saying thus to the gods, I hastened to the demon Tarka. I addressed him thus. Brahma said, You are ruling over our heaven which contains the essence of brilliance. You are desirous of getting more than what you bargained for at the time of your penance. I granted you a boon, but not the kingdom of heaven. Hence leave of this region. You can rule over the earth. O best of Asuras, even there you can achieve the fruit of your activities as here in Devloka. There is nothing to hesitate in this matter. After thus exhorting the demon to leave of heaven, I, the Lord of all, remembered Shiva and vanished from the scene. Leaving the heaven, Tarka descended to the earth. Stationed in the town Sonit, he ruled over the entire kingdom. On hearing my words, the gods bowed to me and went to Indra's abode. They were duly received by Indra. After reaching there and consulting one another, the gods in a body lovingly told Indra. The gods said, O Lord, you should carry out the suggestions of Brahma and see that Shiva is lovingly inclined towards Shiva. Brahma said, After explaining everything to the Lord, the gods went in all directions to the respective abodes with great pleasure. Chapter 17. The dialogue between Indra and Kamdeva. Brahma said, when the gods had gone, Indra remembered Kama. He was so afflicted by Tarka, the wicked demon. In an instant, Kama, the lover of Rati, came there along with Vasanta. He was accompanied by Rati too. Being powerful enough to conquer the three worlds, he was very haughty. Making due obeisance, standing in front of Indra, the lofty-minded Kama joined his palms in reverence and said, Kama said, what is the matter that has cropped up now? Wherefore was I remembered? Please tell me, I am here to carry it out. Brahma said, on hearing the words of Kama, Indra, the Lord of gods, said, praising him lovingly, saying, well done, very proper. Indra said, O Kama, you are blessed indeed, since you are in readiness to carry out the affair I have on hand. You have begun well. Listen to what is relevant to the context. I shall tell you everything. My job is equally your job and not otherwise. I have many friends and great friends at that. But O Kama, I have no other friends on a par with you anywhere. O dear, for my conquest the unparalleled thunderbolt has been made. Even that weapon may sometimes be ineffective, but you are never so. Who can be dearer than the person from whom one derives benefit? Hence you, my greatest friend, must carry out my task. Time being accursed, a great irremediable misery has befallen me. None other than you can dispel it. The test of a donor is at the time of famine. The test of a warrior is at the time of battle. The test of a friend is at the time of adversity. And the test of a woman is in the financial weakness of the family. Oh dear, the test of a real friend is in the time of distress. It is also based on what he does behind the back. It is not otherwise. This is truth. Now that an adversity has befallen me, which cannot be thwarted by anyone else, oh dear friend, it shall be a test for you today. This is not a matter that brings pleasure to me alone. This is a matter that concerns all the gods and others too. Brahma said, on hearing these words of Indra, the fish-banner god Kama spoke smilingly in words indicating love and gravity. Kama said, why do you say like this? I make no answer to you. A helping unreal friend is neither seen nor spoken of in the world. He who speaks much at the time of adversity will not turn out much. Yet, O king, my lord, I shall say something, please listen. O dear friend, I shall cause the downfall of that enemy of yours, who is performing a severe penance to usurp your position. I shall topple gods, sages, demons, and others through the side glances of a beautiful woman. I do not at all take human beings into consideration. Let your thunderbolt and other weapons of innumerable varieties be set aside. What will they do when I, your friend, am present? I can undoubtedly make Brahma and Vishnu go astray. Others are of no consideration. I shall make even Shiva fall. I have only 5 arrows that are soft and flowery. My bow is of 3 types, that too is flowery. The bowstring consists of bees. My support and strength is my beloved wife, Rati. Spring is my minister. Oh God, I am having 5 forces. The moon, the storehouse of nectar, is my friend. The sentiment of love is in my commander-in-chief. The coquettish gestures and emotions are my soldiers. All these are soft and gentle, O Indra. I too am of that sort. An intelligent man shall put together things that are mutually complementary. You shall therefore engage me in a task that accords with my capacity. Brahma said. On hearing his words, Indra was much pleased. Pleasing Kama, the bestower of cherished happiness by means of his words, he spoke. Indra said, O dear Kama, you are competent to carry out the task which I have conceived in my mind. It cannot be realized through anyone else. O Kama, foremost among my friends, listen. I shall explain truly for what I remembered you and desired your presence, O Kama. Securing a wonderful boon from Brahma, the great demon Tarka has become invincible and a pest for everyone. The entire world is harassed by him. Many virtuous rites are destroyed. The gods have become miserable and so also the sages. He had been fought by the gods to the utmost of their ability formerly, but the weapons of all gods became quite futile. The noose of Varuna, the god of warriors, snapped. When hurled at his neck by Vishnu, the discus Sudarsana was blunted. The death of this wicked demon has been foretold by Brahma, the lord of people, at the hands of the boy born of Shiva, the great yogin. Oh dear friend, this task must be achieved by you diligently. Then we the gods can be very happy. It will be beneficent to me, it will render the whole world happy. Realizing the duties of a friend, you are now to act. Shiva is at present engaged in a great penance. The Supreme Lord is always independent. It is not to achieve any desire that he performs the penance. For the sake of gods, at the bidding of her father, Parvati is attending on him, I hear. O Kama, you shall certainly do everything necessary to bring about an interest in her, in the mind of Shiva who has self-control. You will become contented after this. Your miseries will be destroyed. Your exploit will be permanently established in the world, not otherwise. Brahma said. On being thus addressed, Kama was glad, his face beaming with like a full-blown lotus. He lovingly said to the Lord of gods, I shall undoubtedly do it. After saying this, when he said, So be it, he said yes. Kama accepted it because he was deluded by Shiva's illusion. Accompanied by his wife and Spring, he went to the place where Shiva the yogin was performing penance. Chapter 18. Description of the perturbation caused by Kama. Brahma said, After going there, the haughty Kama, deluded by Shiva's magic power, stationed himself. After first spreading the enchanting power of Spring all around, the enchanting influence of Spring spread everywhere around Oshadiprastha, the penance grove of Shiva, the Supreme Lord, O excellent sage. O great sage, the groves bloomed with special exuberance. O excellent sage, due to his power. The fragrant flowers of mango and asuka trees shone, heightening feelings of love. The water lilies with bees hovering on them proved to be the causes for the rise of love in the minds of everyone. The sweet cooings of the cuckoos heightened emotions of love. They were exquisite and pleasing to the mind. O sage, diverse sounds of the humming of the bees rang sweet in the ears of everyone, heightening temptations of love. The bright light of the moon scattered all around appeared to be the emissary of lovers and their beloveds. At the time the Kala Deepik, brilliant lamp, induced reticent haughty persons to love. O good sir, the wind blew gently but distressed those who were separated from their beloveds. Thus the vast diffusion of spring caused the display of emotions of love. It was unbearable to the forest-dwelling sages. O sage, then even the insentient being had emotions of love. What about the state of sentient ones? The spring employed his unbearable power, heightening the love of all living beings. On seeing the untimely display of spring, Shiva, the Lord, who had assumed a physical body, indulging in divine sports, thought it surprising. But he, the chief of self-control and remover of man's misery, continued his severe penance. When spring spread everywhere, Kama, accompanied by Rati, stood on his left side, with the air of mango blossom taken out and kept in readiness. Enchanting all people, he spread his influence. Who was not enchanted on seeing Kama in the company of Rati? Thus they initiated the dalliance. The sentiment of love too, accompanied by conquest, gesture, and emotion, reached the vicinity of Shiva along with his attendants. Kama, usually stationed within the mind, manifested himself outside, but he could not find any vulnerable loophole in Shiva whereby he could enter him. When Kama did not secure any entry within the great yogin, he became deluded and frightened much through the magical power of Shiva. Who could gain access to Shiva in meditation? Who could fix an eye in his forehead that resembled fire with shooting blazing flames? In the meantime, Parvati came there along with her two maids and brought various kinds of flowers for Shiva's worship. Certainly Parvati had a greater beauty than the most exquisite lady described by people on the earth. When she wore pretty flowers of the season, how could her beauty be described even in 100 years? No sooner did she enter within the proximity of Shiva than he came out of his meditation for a short while. Profiting by that opportune moment, Kama, by means of his arrow Harshana, delighted the moon-crest god Shiva who was nearby. O sage, in assistance to Kama, Parvati reached the place near Shiva with emotions of love and accompanied by spring. In order to make the trident-bearing lord take interest in her, Kama drew his bow very carefully and discharged his flowery arrow on him. As was her usual practice, she approached Shiva, bowed to him, worshipped him, and stood in front of him, awaiting further instructions. Parvati was stared at by Lord Shiva while she was laying bare some of the limbs bashfully, as is natural to woman in such circumstances. Remembering the boon granted to her by Brahma formerly, O sage, Lord Shiva began to describe her limbs joyfully. Shiva said, "Is this your face or the moon? Are these your eyes or lotus petals? These two eyebrows are the bows of Kama of noble soul. Is this your lip or bimba fruit? Is this your nose or the break of a parrot? Do I hear your voice or the cooing of the cuckoo? Is this your slender waist or the sacrificial altar? How can her gait be described? How can her comely appearance be described? How can the flowers be described? How can the clothes be described? Whatever is graceful and sweet in the creation has been incorporated here. Indeed, all her limbs are exquisite in every respect. How blessed is this Parvati of mysteriously wonderful features. There is no other woman equal to her in beauty in the three worlds. She is a storehouse of the finest beauty. She has wondrous beautiful limbs. She is an enchantress of even sages. She increases great happiness. Brahma said, after describing her body again and again, recollecting the boon granted by Brahma, Shiva stopped. When Shiva put his hand within her garment and moved it, she, as is natural to woman, bashfully withdrew and kept aloof. O sage, then Parvati smilingly laid bare some parts of her body and cast graceful glances at him with great pleasure. On seeing these movements and gestures, Shiva became fascinated. Lord Shiva, indulging in great divine sport, spoke these words. I feel great pleasure on merely seeing her. What pleasure shall I derive by embracing her? Thinking thus only for a moment, the enlightened Shiva became detached, honored Parvati and spoke. How wonderful and mysterious is the situation that has arisen. How is it that I have been deluded and fascinated? Though I am the Lord and Master, I have been perturbed by Kama. If I, the Master, were to want for the touch of a woman's limb, what will not be done by other incompetent and insignificant creatures? Thus, resuming detachment, Lord Shiva forbade her sitting on the couch. How can there be a downfall for the great Lord Shiva? Chapter 12 Shiva Himvat Dialogue. Brahma said, then the delighted Lord of the mountains took some fresh flowers and fruits with him and approached Shiva along with his daughter. Approaching the Lord of the three worlds, engaged in meditation and bowing to him, he mentally dedicated to him his wonderful daughter. Placing the fruits and flowers in front of him and making his daughter stand before him, the Lord of the mountains spoke to Shiva. Himachal said, O Lord, my daughter who is eager to serve you, the moon-crested Lord, I have brought here with a desire to propitiate you. Let her serve you, the benefactor, forever along with two of her maids. O Lord, if you wish to bless me, please permit her. Brahma said. Then Shiva looked at her in the first flush of her youth. Her complexion resembled the full-blown blue lotus petals. Her face appeared as the full moon. Her auspicious dress and features were the repositories of all graceful charms. Her neck had the shape of the conch shell. Her eyes were wide and her ears shone exquisitely. On either side, her long rounded arms resembling a lotus stalk shone beautifully. Her two breasts, resembling lotus buds, were stout, plump, and firm. Her waist was slender, and the curly locks of her hair shone well. Her feet resembled the land lotus, and were comely in appearance. She was competent to shake the minds of young sages deeply engrossed in meditation, even at the very sight. She was a crest jewel of all the maidens in the world. On seeing her in that exquisite form, has increased the pleasure and love of even those who meditate. The great yogin Shiva closed his eyes immediately and meditated upon his real form, the great principle that is beyond the three attributes and is imperishable. On seeing Shiva, the lord of all, the chief of those devoted to penance, the lord with the moon as his ornament, who can be known through spiritual insight, and who was sitting in the very meditative posture, closing his eyes, Himachal saluted him again. Though he was not disheartened, he entertained some doubts. Thus he, the lord of mountains, foremost of the eloquent, spoke to Shiva, the sole kinsman of the universe. Himachal said, O great lord of the gods, O Shiva, the merciful, O Lord, open your eyes and look at me who have sought refuge in you. O Shiva, O great Lord, the delighter of the universe, O great God, I bow to you who destroy all adversities. O Lord of gods, the Vedas and the sacred law do not know you entirely. Your greatness is beyond the sphere of words and minds, inexpressible by means of words and incomprehensible. Not to speak of others, even the Vedas describe you with awe and timidity, not positively but negating what you are not. Securing your grace through devotion, many devotees become acquainted with you. Seeking refuge in you, they get correct knowledge about your real self. Please listen to my entreaty with a long heart. I am your slave. O dear Lord, in humility I shall explain the same to you. O great God Shiva, by your favor I feel most fortunate. O Lord, consider me as your slave and be sympathetic towards me. Obeisance to you. O Lord, I shall be visiting you daily along with my daughter. O Lord, be pleased to command me accordingly. Brahma said. On hearing his words, the great Lord of the gods broke his meditation, opened his eyes, thought a little and spoke. Lord Shiva said, O mountain, you shall come every day to see me, leaving your daughter in your abode, otherwise I cannot be seen. Brahma said, on hearing the words of Shiva in that view, the father of Shiva, the mountain, bowed his head and replied to Shiva. Himachal said, let this be kindly mentioned why this girl cannot accompany me here. Is she unworthy of your service? I do not know the reason thereof. Brahma said, particularly pointing out the worldly conduct of fake ascetics, the bull-bannered god, Shiva laughingly spoke to the mountain. Shiva said, this auspicious slender-bodied maiden of comely hips and moon-like face should not be brought near me. I forbid you again and again. A woman is a face of illusion. As the scholars who have mastered the Vedas say particularly, a young damsel is a hindrance to ascetics. O mountain, I am an ascetic, a yogin, never affected by illusion. Of what avail is a woman thrust on me? O friend, resorted to by great ascetics, you shall not say so again, since you are an adept in Vedic religion, a scholar and one foremost among the wise. O mountain, by contact with a woman worldliness springs up, non-attachment perishes, and the virtuous penance is destroyed. Hence, O mountain, no ascetic shall have any truck with woman. A woman is the root of all worldly attachments. She destroys all wisdom and detachment together. Brahma said, speaking these and many other similar things to the Lord of mountains, Lord Shiva, the great yogin, stopped. On hearing these ruthless words of Shiva, free from sickness and desire, the father of Parvati became nervous. O celestial sage, and a little agitated, but he kept quiet. On hearing the words of the ascetic and finding her father, the Lord of the mountains, frightened, Parvati bowed to Shiva and spoke these words clearly. Chapter 13. Shiva Parvati dialogue. Parvati said, O Yogin, O Lord, wise and clever, please listen to the reply to what you as an ascetic said to the Lord of Mountains. O Shiva, you perform this great penance because you possess the energy of penance. Your intellect is inclined to perform penance because you are a noble soul. That energy is the Prakriti, the cause of all activities. Everything is created, sustained and destroyed by it. O Lord, please ponder over who you are and who this Saral Prakriti is. Without Prakriti, how can the great Lord of the phallic form exist? You are worthy of the worship, respect and meditation of all living beings forever. Thanks to Prakriti. Thinking of this in your heart, please reply. Brahma said, on hearing these words of Parvati, the great Lord engaged in the causation of great enjoyment and protection became delighted. He laughed and said, the great Lord said, I am destroying the Prakriti with my great penance. I remain in reality without Prakriti. Indeed, Prakriti should not be taken in by good people. They should remain unaffected, eschewing all worldly conduct. Brahma said, O dear one, this was said by Shiva in accordance with worldly conventions and dealings. Parvati thereupon laughed to herself and spoke these sweet words. Parvati said, O Yogin, O Lord Shiva, based on what you said, how can that Prakriti cease to exist and how can it be considered beyond that Prakriti? You shall ponder over this and say with reference to the facts as they are. All these, the universe, etc., are bound by Prakriti continuously. Hence, you shall not say anything, not do anything. Know that speaking, doing, etc. is a Prakrita activity. What you hear, what you eat, what you see and what you do, all these are essentially the activities of Prakriti. To say that is unreal is meaningless. O Lord, if you are greater than Prakriti, wherefore do you perform penance? O Shiva, now on this mountain Himvat. O Shiva, you have been swallowed by Prakriti. You do not know your own situation. O Lord, if you do not know your own situation, why do you perform penance? O Yogin, what I have to do with an argument with you? Scholars say that without perception, inference has no authority at all. As long as the embodied beings remain the objects of the sense organs, everything is Prakrita. Wise men consider it so. O Lord of ascetics, a long-winded talk is of no avail. Listen to my emphatic statement. I am Prakriti and you are Purush. This is the truth, there is no doubt about it. With my blessings, you become qualitative and embodied. Without me, you are attributeless and incompetent to perform any activity. Being always subservient to Prakriti, you perform all activities. Self-controlled, free from aberrations, and untainted by me, how can you perform them? If you are really superior to Prakriti, if what you say is true, you need not be afraid to be near me, O Shiva. Brahma said, on hearing these words of Parvati, based on the Samkhya system, Shiva replied to her, upholding the Vedantin's point of view. Lord Shiva said, O Parvati, O upholder of the Samkhya system, if you say so, O sweet-voiced lady, you render me unforbidden service every day. If I am the Brahman, the Supreme Lord, unsullied by illusion, comprehensible through spiritual knowledge, and the master of illusion, what will you do then? Brahma said, having spoken to Parvati thus, the Lord, the conciliator, and the blesser of the devotee spoke to the mountain thus. Shiva said, O Lord of mountains, here itself, on your beautiful excellent ridge, I shall perform my penance, showing to the world my real blissful form and nature. O Lord of mountains, permission shall be given to me to perform penance. Without your permission, it is not possible for me or anyone else to perform any penance here. Brahma said, on hearing these words of Shiva, the Lord of gods, Himvat, bowed to Shiva and said, Himvat said, the entire universe consisting of gods, asuras and human beings is yours. O great God, though insignificant, I blabber something to you. Brahma said, thus addressing by Himvat, Shiva, the benefactor of the worlds, laughingly permitted him to go. Permitted by Shiva, Himvat returned to his abode along with Parvati. He wanted to visit him daily, even without her father but accompanied by her maids. Parvati approached Shiva every day for serving him with devotion. Oh dear, at the bidding of Lord Shiva, none of the Ganas, Nandiswara and others, purely carrying out the orders of Shiva, prevented her. The discourses of Shiv and Shiva, who represented the principles of Samkhya and Vedanta, and who is thoughtfully considered, are not different from each other, was very happy and pleasing forever. At the request of the Lord of Mountains, Shiva permitted Parvati to remain with him, being true to his words, though with all gravity and seriousness. He, the Lord of individual souls, said to Parvati in the company of her maids, You can serve me every day. You can go as you please. You can stay here fearlessly. Saying this, he accepted the goddess in his service. Shiva is free from aberrations. He is a great yogin, the Lord who indulges in different kinds of divine sports. This is the supreme courage of great ascetics, possessed of fortitude that though surrounded by obstacles, they are not overpowered by them. Then the Lord of Mountains returned to his city and rejoiced in the company of his wife, the sages and attendants. Shiva mentioned the yoga of meditation on the great Atman, with his mind freed from obstacles. Parvati, along with her maids, continued her daily service to the moon-crested Lord, coming and going without any hindrance. She washed Shiva's feet and drank that holy water. With a cloth heated in fire, she wiped his body. After worshipping him with 16 types of offerings duly and bowing to him repeatedly, she used to return to her father's abode. O excellent sage, a long time elapsed as she continued her service to him, who was engrossed in meditation. Sometimes accompanied by her maids, she sang a exquisite song of good note that increased love in the hermitage of Shiva. Sometimes she brought kusa grass, flowers, and sacrificial twigs. Sometimes, assisted by her maids, she scrubbed and cleaned the place. Sometimes she stayed in the house of the moon-crested Lord, pure and holy. Sometimes she used to gaze at the Lord lovingly and with surprise. In the course of his penance, sometimes the Lord of the Goblins thought about her as free from attachment, but as she was in her physical form, he did not take her as his wife, though she was near him, though she was endowed with every feature of beauty, though she was capable of deluding even the sages. On seeing her with perfect control over her sense organs and engrossed in serving him always, the Lord mercifully thought, I shall take her only when the last seed of ego goes away from her, when she herself performs a penance. Thinking thus, the Lord of Bhutas reverted to meditation. The Lord, who could indulge in great sports, became a great yogin. O sage, when Shiva, the great Atman, sank into meditation, no other thought entered his mind. As for Parvati, she served him every day with great devotion, always thinking on the form of that great soul. Shiva, who was engrossed in meditation, saw her every day in full composure. Forgetting his previous thoughts about her, he did not see her although he saw her. In the meantime, Indra, the gods and the sages eagerly sent Kama there at the bidding of Brahma. They had been harassed by the demon Tarka, the demon of great strength. Hence they wanted to unite Parvati and Shiva in love. After reaching there, Kama tried all his tricks, but Shiva was not at all agitated. He reduced Kama to ashes. O sage, Parvati too was divested of her ego. At his bidding, she performed a penance and obtained him as her husband. Parvati and Shiva were very happy. Engrossed in helping others, they carried out the work of the gods.